Hello, colorful creators! Today we are going to be creating in the style of Canadian folk artist Maud Lewis. What will we be creating, you ask? One of my favorite furry creatures, cats. But first, take a moment to gather up all your supplies from the supply list and prepare your space to get a little messy. I recommend putting a plastic tablecloth on the floor if you are on carpet and to draw on a hard surface like a table or a countertop, something that's easy to wipe off. Then pick a reference photo from the provided photos, or you can find your own photo and print it out. Once you've gotten everything needed to begin, we will jump right in using our pencils to create. Next, we will grab our pastels to get to work, adding color and layering and blending along the way. And at the end, you will have a cute kitty creation.
Hello, colorful creators. It's time to get started. Have you gathered up your supplies? Let's go. I have my black piece of paper here that I'll be working on, my chalk pastels as well, a ruler just to help me know where the middle of my paper is, and a pencil with an eraser on the end. I also have a blank piece of paper that I can rest my hand on so I don't smudge my work. And a napkin here just to help wipe up anything and keep things clean. And then I also have my picture that I'll be drawing. I have it pulled up that I'm looking at of my cat. So I'm just going to go ahead and go in with my pencil and start sketching. So you'll want to use your reference photo of your kitty cat that you will be drawing today. And you can have that printed out or pulled up on a computer. Mine is pulled up on my computer that I'm just looking at as I draw. And then if you would like to find the middle of your page, you can always use your ruler to kind of help you do that. So I'm not using my ruler, but I have it out there just in case I need it. And if you need to use your ruler, you're welcome to do that as well. So just go ahead and begin by sketching your cat right on your page there. You kind of want it to fill up a good portion of your picture. You don't want it to be too small. So I have it going about all the way to the bottom, and then a little bit, I have about 2 inches from the top there. So I have my ears, and then the top of my head, and then around towards the sides, and then the tail of my cat as well. And you'll want to remember that we are drawing and doing this picture inspired by the work of Maud Lewis. And within a lot of her work, you can kind of take a peek at her work from our artist feature if you remember that video, and remember kind of the style that she drew within. And that's going to be the style that we're creating our cat in. So my cat picture that I'm using is kind of more for the colors of my cat, and then using those specific colors within the style and design of Maud Lewis. And you may notice that on my cat here soon, it is a furry little kitty that is kind of famous, and you may recognize it is a kitty cat that is not too happy. So you'll be able to probably notice and recognize that cat as we go further on within drawing in our project. So once you have finished your cat that you are finishing with your sketch there, you are going to move on to your background. And with my background, I'm just adding a few branches there, which are going to be for some cherry blossom trees. Maud has a lot of cherry blossom trees and colorful flowers that she incorporates within her work. So I will be doing that and having these branches come out from the side, and then drawing some tulip flowers within the background as well. So if you ever need to pause the video, you're totally welcome to do that as you sketch if you are not moving as quickly as I am, or if you need a little bit more time, or maybe you've even already finished your sketch and you need to move ahead. So you're welcome to do that. And just remember, as you are sketching, you're going to be taking your time and kind of planning out your whole picture. So that's the time to kind of figure out everything. So we are ready to go now. that we have our sketch, and we are going to get started with our chalk pastels here. Okay, so for my project with my chalk pastels, I'm going to be working in layers. And so with my layers, I'm going to be starting with a light color, probably my lightest color first. And I'm just looking at my picture of my cat and seeing where all this light color is. So go ahead and take a moment to take a look at your picture of the cat that you will be drawing and find the lightest color on the cat, and you're going to select that chalk pastel and then just start filling in the areas where that lightest color is. So just kind of coloring that in and moving around. So if you notice, I have this white that I'm just filling in on all of those areas that the white is on my cat. So your cat maybe is the same color as mine. Maybe we even picked the same cat, or maybe your cat is different and it's a different cat that you found on the internet, or maybe it's your actual cat, your pet cat as well. So take a look at it and just see kind of the different colors and where those are at on the body of your kitty cat. And as you're drawing, you may need to use that cover sheet of paper and to just rest that over top of your drawing to make sure that you don't smudge or blend any of that pastel in wrong places. So, or like with your hand, because sometimes whenever we're drawing, we set our hand down in our picture. So if you need to use a paper, you can just take a scrap piece of paper, lay that right over top of your drawing and just carefully rest your hand on over top. If you need to adjust that, pick it up, gently place it back down, and then move it around as you need. So that way you're not smudging it and ruining your beautiful masterpiece that you're creating. So now that I have finished with that first light color, that white, I'm going to be selecting this kind of cream color. So it's the second lightest color. And so we're kind of going from light to dark here. And I'm just going to be going in and layering and finding all the spots that have that second lightest color as well, and just kind of coloring that in and filling it in. And I'm just using kind of small back and forth motions. So my cat here, cats are furry, obviously, right? So I'm just going to be kind of doing back and forth kind of movements that are just kind of mimic the fur and everything that is on the texture of my cat. And then once you have finished with that second lightest color, you can go ahead and pick up your third lightest color for the next one and start filling in as you need to as well. So I kind of have the side little patches there of my cat that has some dark brown, and then a little bit on my cat's face on the side and a little bit on the tail as well. So just make sure that you are taking your time to look at your photo and to see all the different colors within the fur of your cat, and to really just study that. If you need to pause the video and maybe you just take a few minutes to look at your photo just to make sure that you have all the different colors and select the right chalk pastels to be the same colors as your cat, you are totally welcome to do that. So go ahead and hit pause if you need to, and you can take a look at those colors and just match. So the more that I look at my cat, I was just kind of looking at it, and I even noticed that it had some more of like these golden color that I'm just going to kind of layer in over top of the brown that I put down. And then I just have this really, really dark brown that I'm going to be working with as well, and to just layer that on over top. And I'm not blending anything in yet, so you want to make sure that you have quite a few layers on with your chalk pastels before you start going in and blending. So once we have those layers built up, we will go in and blend everything. So if you maybe still see some of the black of your paper showing through, that is okay, because whenever we blend everything in, it'll usually blend out all of that and cover that in. And as you're working, if you notice that you have a lot of powder that's coming off and being created as you draw, you can always just tap that off on the table or the paper underneath you, just so you don't have it everywhere and you have a clean workspace. You want to be careful that you don't blow that off or brush it off of your picture, just because one, if you blow it off, that's just going to go everywhere and make a pretty big mess. So you probably don't want to do that. And two, you don't want to brush it off with your hand, because then that's gonna smear your whole work and really cause a good look. So be careful with that you don't do that. And I'm just going back through on the edges of my cat and kind of giving more of a fur look, a little rough, jagged look on the edges there. If you look at some of the photos that Audra has of Maud, sorry, not Audra, that Maud has done, you'll notice that her style is kind of jagged on the edges of the cat, and you can see the fur really well. So pull up some of those if you need it to. And then I have also selected just some of these pink colors that I'm filling in for the nose and the mouth here, and then starting to work on the eyes as well. And on the eyes, I'm just being a little bit more neat with that, whereas with the fur, you can kind of just not be sloppy, but just not as precise with my application. With the eyes, I want those to be a little bit more precise. And so that means I'm just being a little bit more careful within how I'm drawing with that, and not moving as freely as whenever I drew the fur. And now I'm going to go in and start blending that in. So once you have completely colored all the fur and put all those different layers in and all the different colors that are within your cat, you're just going to go in and start blending that in. So you can either use your finger, or you can use a paper towel, or even a Q-tip if you want to just kind of blend everything in. Now, say if your cat has stripes on the fur, so you want to kind of be careful to keep those stripes. You would just kind of follow the line of the stripe. If your stripe is going one way, you're just going to drag your finger on that whole stripe. You're not going to want to go up and down in the opposite way of this stripe, because otherwise that'll kind of just mess up the stripe and blend it all in a way that you don't want. So just follow the direction of the color that you have applied on your picture. And I'm just being really careful around the nose and the mouth. So be very careful around the nose and the mouth there, because I don't want that blended in with the fur. And if you need to switch between your fingers, go ahead and do that as well. That's a nice tip that I like to do, is sometimes I will use one finger for one color. So say my pointer finger, I will use for anytime I'm blending in white, and anytime I'm blending in black, I may use my pinky finger or the thumb. So you can always do that as well, or you can wash your hands off in between blending the colors. So have you been able to figure out who my cat is? He's kind of grumpy, in case you haven't realized. Not too happy of a kitty cat. Now that I have blended it in, and once you have finished blending everything in, you can go back in and start layering in some more. So again, the chalk pastels, we layer a lot with them. and we just really kind of build up that color to be exactly how we want it. So chalk pastels are very forgiving, and you can do a lot with them, and they're just very relaxed and fun. So I'm just going to be doing it as I feel like I need it. I needed a little bit more white. I wanted it to be a little bit brighter, just seeing how my paper is black. I needed to kind of build up a little bit more color. So I picked that white again, then I'm going to be going in and layering. And this time I turned it kind of a little bit on the side of the pastel and kind of just smoothed it all in and worked in different like curling motions and circular motions all around. So layer as you need it. If you feel like you need more color, say if your cat is brown and you need it to be more brown, then pick up the brown again and do another layer on it and then blend it in. After you've done another layer of putting the chalk pastel down, blend it in with your finger and then reassess and decide if you feel like you need more or what else your picture needs. Take your time, look at your picture that you're drawing from. Make sure that you remember also to look at the pictures of Maud's work as well, so that way you can really get within the style and design that she created into. So I'm going back in and just kind of defining the edges of my cat a little bit more, giving it a little bit more of kind of like fur to where that way you can see that kind of on the edge a little bit. And then just really defining the ears really good. And then drawing some more of that fur that you can see. And then I'm just really looking at my picture that I'm working from as well, and seeing that I get all of the color exactly the way that it is on the picture that I'm drawing from. So my kitty has quite a bit of dark around his face there, and then its ears are pretty dark as well. And you want to make sure that you're kind of thinking within, whenever you're drawing the hair of your cat and the fur, that you're thinking within the movement of it. So if I know that the hair is going up, then I would kind of draw the stroke of with the chalk pastel in that direction. So whichever way the hair moves, the direction that it moves, I would draw within that direction. So if I have hair that is going out away from the eyes, then I would kind of draw short, small strokes that are similar to a hair. That helps us just to give a little bit more of texture and to give it look a little bit more like hair. And then, yeah, once you have blended things in, and whenever I am adding some of these final details after I've blended it in, I'm not gonna go back over and blend in all of it too much. Whenever I do some of these final details, if you blend it in, you kind of can't see them as much. So make sure that you know that you don't always have to blend in with chalk pastels. So you can use a combination of blending and then just layering the color down and then just leaving it alone as well. So don't feel like just because you put the color down that you have to blend it in. So it's totally up to you. You can layer it on, take time to just take a step back sometimes and take a look at your work and to see if you need to change anything or add more color or switch things up. Sometimes whenever we take a pause and we look at our work and look at the picture that we're working from, we can decide what else our picture needs. Yeah, so once you have finished with blending it in and everything, you can go through and kind of start adding some more of those like final details and just making little strokes. I added some little strokes that are going to kind of be little hair strokes on the ears and on the outer edges. And then I'm just defining the mouth and going back over and tracing that over again. And also with the eyes as well, just to make sure that those are really clean and exactly how I want them. And I want you to remember that as you're drawing that your picture does not have to look exactly like mine. So all of our pictures are completely different just because all of us are completely different. We're different people. We like different things and do things differently. So therefore our artwork is going to look different. So I'm not trying to copy or make my artwork look exactly like Maud Lewis's. Whenever we have an artist feature that we're doing work that is inspired by her. So what that means is we can look at her work and say, wow, that is so amazing. I love it. She does really great work. And then be inspired by it. And that can spark inspiration for us to create something else. So we can look at her work and say, wow, I really love how she drew a kitty cat. And I really love all the colors that she worked with and how she drew her tulips and just how colorful and bright it is. And then with that, we can create our own work. We're not trying to copy her work, but we're being inspired by her work. Now, once you are finished with your cat, you can start working on your background. So I'm going to be starting with a blue, just kind of coloring in a sky portion here. So this is a landscape. What does a landscape mean? Landscape means that it is a picture of the outside, so nature, the outdoors. So I have this sky that I'm working on, and then if you notice this line, that line would be the horizon. So the horizon is where the sky meets the ground or the earth, and so that is the horizon line. So I have the sky up at the top, and I'm just blending that in all with the blue and just filling that all in completely. And then that bottom section will be the ground there, and I will be filling that in with green for grass and then some different flowers as well. Okay, now I'm going to start working on my cherry blossom branches and filling in the rest of the background here, and I've just selected a brown to do that. Now you want to look at what you sketched in for your background. So maybe your background doesn't include a sky. That is totally okay. You could have done all green and all grass within the background. Mine just happened to include that. So if you had it in there, great, you can put the sky in there. If not, totally fine. So you can always, if maybe you drew something else and you were inspired by something else that you saw within Maud Lewis's artwork, and maybe you wanted to draw like a river in the background or some hills or something. So it's totally up to you. You're just going to move at your own pace and to start coloring in and filling in over your sketch that you drew previously. So for mine, it was these cherry blossom trees. And I'm just being really careful to not smudge or rest my hand in my cat. So you also want to be very careful as you're working around your cat, because your cat is pretty much finished. So we don't want to mess that up and then have to redo it all again. So if you need to use that piece of paper to lay over top of your cat so that way you don't smear it with your hand, go ahead and grab that and do that now. And as you're working on your background, you're going to remember those same principles and those same techniques that we learned earlier and that we did on our cat. So doing the layering from our light to dark, so we kind of have our branches here, or whatever it is that you have in your background. Select that lightest color, put that down, and then you're gonna layer in another color over top of that, blend it in as you need to, and then also look at the, try to think of the object that you're drawing as well. Is that object soft? Is it smooth? Is it straight? Is it kind of have round edges, curly edges? Think of all those different things. So with my flowers here, I'm not going to draw in straight up and down strokes and up and down going or back and forth. Flowers are not up and down like that. They're kind of round, kind of soft, kind of curly, honestly, kind of made up of little circles all together with the petals. So I'm just doing little circular motions kind of around to give the look of these flowers all together. And then just going back in and adding any detail that they need and just layering that upon each. And now I'm going to go ahead and start with my grass in the background. Again, go through and work at your own pace. If you're not ready to start on your grass, that's totally fine. So you can pause it or you can just continue working in the area. Just make sure that you are working on your background and getting that filled out and just following your sketch that you put down before. So the sketch is kind of your roadmap, so that way you know where to draw and where to go over top of things. So I'm putting a green down and moving all back and forth on that, and I'm going to be doing some tulip flowers on the front sides there. So I'm not going to want to put green in those areas where the tulips are. So I'm going to kind of go around the sketch there, so that way I don't get any green where I'm going to have. Now, if you've been drawing for a little bit and you're getting a little tired, you can always take a break. You can just pause the video and come back to it another day and finish out your picture that we've been working on. Sometimes we need a break whenever we're creating, but so if you need to take a pause, you're totally welcome to go ahead and hit pause and come back to it another day. If you are going to do that, make sure that you put your picture in a safe space so that it won't get bumped or moved or smudged or anything, and it'll be ready for you when you come back. So now that I have layered on that green color, I'm going to be going through and blending it in with my finger and smoothing all that in and filling in any areas that the black paper is still showing through. And I'm being really careful around the edge of my cat as well, so that way I don't smudge any of that green into my cat's fur. So be careful whenever you're blending in that you don't smudge all of that together. If you do, you can always kind of go back through and fix that. But if we don't have to go back through and fix any mistakes, then that's just a little bit quicker and easier. So, but if you do, that's okay. And sometimes we make mistakes in art, and that's totally fine. We can always find a way to fix it and just have a little creative redirection and go in a different way than maybe we planned. But we can always try to fix it. I'm just adding some dark green leaves on my cherry blossom branches as well. And for the leaves, I don't have to add a ton of detail within them. I'm literally just drawing kind of little oval circles all around the branches. If you notice within the style of Maud, she uses a lot of simple shapes. They're not really complex, they don't have a lot of detail to them, and they're really simple and they're kind of fun. And you'll notice as well, whenever I start drawing these tulip flowers here in a little bit, that tulips don't really look like that in real life. And she never tried to draw things exactly how they saw them, so like in a realistic type of way. And that is okay, because there's a lot of different art, and just because something doesn't look exactly how it was supposed to be in real life, it doesn't mean it wasn't something that's good. She is not a realism artist. She is a folk artist, and that means the style is a little bit different. So her style is a little bit more, I guess you could say, cartoony and just kind of fun and everything like that. So just remember that as you're drawing. Don't feel like, oh my goodness, this doesn't look exactly like a real flower. That's okay, because the style that she drew within wasn't realism. So this is what I was talking about here with the tulips. They kind of just look like little misshapen hearts. So they have the two little round spots up at the top and then come together kind of like a heart would. So I'm just selecting different bright colors to do for those flowers. So if you have flowers within your grass or around within your background, you can kind of work on those and just select some fun colors that you like. Maybe you can even look at the picture references of Maud's work and kind of pick out some different colors that she would work with and incorporate that within your piece as well. One thing that you can do too is, if you are not sure if you like color before you put it on your paper, you can always test it out and kind of draw a little bit with it on another piece of paper, just to make sure that you like the color and it's exactly what you want before you start drawing. Is almost done. Is yours almost done? If you're needing more time, you could totally pause the video at any time just to draw. I still have a little bit left I need to finish on mine here, but I'm adding the final touches here, and one of those is drawing some leaves for my tulips here. And then filling in any spots that need a little bit more color that maybe got smudged or anything like that. And I'm going to show you guys a little technique once I have my picture completely done. You've probably noticed that Chalk Pastel moves around quite a little bit. And so if you take your fingers on it, it blends together. And so whenever our picture is completely finished, we don't want to smudge it or blend it or ruin it or anything like that. So after I finish my whiskers here and it's completely finished, I am going to be spraying it down to protect it so that way nothing moves and nothing is ruined on my picture. And if you brush up against it or you take your fingers on it, that the pastel doesn't come off on your fingers. So once you are completely finished, you are going to, again, make sure a good check over it, make sure it's all completely done. You don't want to add anything else to it or change anything about it. So you're going to do that, tap off any extra, and go wash your hands and clean up your surface and get ready to spray your picture. And you're going to use a hairspray to do that and spray it over top so that way it doesn't move or anything. So thank you so much for creating with me. I hope you had an awesome time, and we'll see you guys next time.